off to the races.
How's it going, movie fans? My name is Jonathan, and I am a man of movies, and I am here today with some of the most wonderful people in the entire world, my wonderful panelists. We got Shawn from Lost in the Reel, we got Dan from The Upside Dan, and what are we doing here today? Well, it's not just today. We're going to be coming a couple times a month, probably, for the next couple of months, because this is our first episode of It's Off to the Races, where we will be covering all the awards this award season. We'll be talking predictions, we'll be covering some nominations, we'll be covering shows once the shows start. I'm so excited to talk awards with you guys. I know with me and Shawn and Dan, we love talking awards all year round, so it's about time. It's about time, man. It's starting all over again. What's up, guys?
Hey, John, how's it going?
Man, you know, it's going well. A lot better now that we get to talk some Oscars.
I know, it's about time.
Absolutely.
Yes. I'm so excited.
Arguably the worst time to get into awards coverage was 2020, 2021.
Seriously.
Well, it's going back to normal now, guys, and I'm excited to get talking about the very first category, and that is Best Original Screenplay. And let's start off with me. This is our early predictions, but my number 5 is maybe a hot take, but it's Last Night in Soho. Number 4 is Don't Look Up. Number 3 is King Richard. Number 2, maybe a hot take, at number 2, Belfast. And my number 1 is Licorice Pizza. And those are my 5 that I think will be nominated for Best Original Screenplay. I know my number 5 is probably a hot take. I know, Shawn, you didn't like Last Night in Soho too much. What do you think about me having that on number 5?
I mean, I just don't think that there's any chance of it making it. And I know it's kind of more wishful thinking on your part by bringing it in there, which I totally admire. But I mean, you know, the Hollywood Critics Association, they seem to love Last Night in Soho. They nominated it for Best Original Screenplay, so that's definitely going to give it a little bit of a bump. But we'll see. I don't think it has a chance, but I love your wish fulfillment there.
Dan, I know you liked Last Night in Soho a bit more than Shawn did. What do you think?
Yes, I did like it a little bit more, than Shawn did. I don't think that it's going to be nominated, I think. But I kind of agree with a lot of what Shawn said. But no, I do appreciate you having it in there. Because I kind of have an underdog in mind. Mm-hmm. So
not bad. It's if I can make the case for myself, the Hollywood Critics Association did nominate it for original screenplay, which is a big reason why I even added it in the first place. I just think that was the momentum that Last Night in Soho needed to at least be that little engine that could. Because before the Hollywood Critics Association, the nominations came out on Friday, no one thought Last Night in Soho had a chance for anything other than maybe a technical award. But now that people are seeing it for something a bit bigger, is this a snowball effect? I think it might be.
It's a possibility.
I think it might be. Aside from that, the one that I think it's a little bit maybe a hot take, because some people might have them switches between Belfast at number 2 and Licorice Pizza at number 1. A lot of people are going Goo Goo Gaga over Belfast. It's a nice feel-good movie of the year. Licorice Pizza has been getting a lot of talk. Very good talk. It's Paul Thomas Anderson, and that's why I have it at number 1.
Yeah, and one thing to mention, obviously, is that these are just predictions in December. It changes all the time. So, you know, next time we come, on with another episode, these predictions will probably be all different. Who knows? But right now, I definitely think your top 3, Licorice Pizza, Belfast, and King Richard, they all seem to be pretty much locks for Best Original Screenplay. But definitely Licorice Pizza and Belfast are kind of fighting for me on which one is actually going to win. Right now, I think you're betting correctly with Licorice Pizza. The talk around town is that this movie is incredible and this is one of P.T. Anderson's best screenplays. So,
I hear the same thing. So Dan, to maybe change it away from Licorice Pizza, I do have King Richard up there because a lot of people are saying that King Richard has a chance. And that's why I put it there. But Dan, do you agree with me when I say I don't think King Richard has that strong of a script? But I just put it up there because that's just the talk around town right now. What do you think, Dan?
So I've actually not watched King Richard yet.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, okay.
But I actually do not have it on my top 5.
Yeah, John, I think the King Richard thing is interesting because I also have it. I do think it's a lock, and I have it in my predictions. I agree with you, though. I don't think King Richard has the strongest script. It's kind of by the books, at least in my opinion. I think that's a film that is 100% riding on the coattails of Will Smith's performance. So I think it gets in. I don't think it has a chance to win, though.
I definitely agree. Didn't Bohemian Rhapsody get in for screenplay?
I think it did, yeah.
So this is why I think that. When it comes to screenplays about biopics, and there's talk that they're going to be nominated, they usually do get nominated. But that being said, guys, it's not just about my list. I want to go to Mr. Shawn just to go in order. Shawn, what's your 5?
Talking about your wish fulfillment, my number 5 is Mass. This is a film that I love, so I think it does have a good chance, just as much as Last Night in Soho. So it's my number 5. Number 4, I have King Richard. Number 3 is Being the Ricardos. Number 2 is Belfast, and number 1 is Licorice Pizza.
Oh, Shawn, I love you for those top 2, man. You haven't seen Mass yet, right, Dan?
Not yet, nope.
Okay, so our number 5s are definitely wishful thinking, but I'll be honest, Shawn, if you forced me to bet with you between Mass and Last Night in Soho, who gets that 5th spot, I'd go for Mass. I think Mass is getting a lot of talk, maybe not a lot of love, but a lot of talk. And I don't know, man, because I don't think, well, the Hollywood Critics Association only nominated for 2 things, right? Or am I tripping?
I'm pretty sure they nominated it for Best Original Screenplay, and along with Last Night in Soho, and then they gave Jason Isaacs a Best Supporting Actor nomination. So yeah, I think it was 2, and then Best First Feature, which is something that don't do.
Oh, so it's a first feature.
Mm-hmm.
Do you not think that is at its downfall then?
I do think it is. I think there is a possibility still that Mass does get in for this, but it's the biggest thing, and I've said this many, many times. Bleecker Street, the studio that picked Mass up, they have a terrible track record with getting people to see their films and Oscar voters to see their films, so it has an uphill battle. So I do have it at number 5. As we get closer, that will probably change. I think, and one thing I'm surprised that you guys did not, or you at least, John, didn't put on your list, is Being the Ricardos, because that is an Aaron Sorkin screenplay, and the Academy loves Aaron Sorkin. So what are your guys' thoughts on Being the Ricardos?
I didn't have it on mine either, but now that you said that, that's surprising, because that's a reason I should put it on there. It's a reason that I put Don't Look Up, because Adam McKay, because I really know nothing about that film. I know some things, but like I know that they love Adam McKay, so I was just like, I'll put that on there. And it has a really great cast. But yeah, no, I'm interested in seeing Being the Ricardos.
When it comes to Being the Ricardos, it is Aaron Sorkin. And Aaron Sorkin, this is coming off the coattails of Trial of the Chicago 7. So that is a big deal. But, Shawn, it feels a little bit too much like One Night in Miami for me. It feels a little bit too much like One Night in Miami.
I understand that.
Now, I don't remember. Was One Night in Miami nominated for script?
I don't think it was. I think it was snubbed in pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, I believe so too.
I might be wrong. Don't. Yeah.
It feels like that, Shawn. It just feels like that. And though that name, Sorkin, does give it that push to probably be on, Being the Ricardos is one I'm kind of just holding off. Have you been hearing any talk about it, Shawn?
Yes, I have actually. And people are loving this film. And everyone kind of thought it was just going to be an I Love Lucy biopic. It's actually very political. It has to do with Lucy kind of coming under scrutiny for being a communist, and the show possibly being canceled. So I think this movie has a lot more up its sleeve than we originally thought. I think this one is also not a sure bet, but I think it's really close to being. I'm going to see it this week, so I'll definitely have a better idea, but I think it gets in.
If you don't have anything to add to that, Dan, I'd like to know your list.
Okay. So my number 5 is Mass, just because of all the good stuff I've heard about it and Shawn. And I put in this Underdog because I think it had a really good script, but I put in Pig. I really liked it. And that was the one that is really against the odds, but Don't Look Up, Licorice Pizza, and Belfast as number 1.
Oh, okay. All right. So we got to fight between these top two. I don't blame you for putting Belfast, Dan. I mean, everyone's talking about it. Everybody loves Belfast. Everyone loves it. And not everyone has seen Licorice Pizza yet. But Mass. You guys are loving Mass. And I can't blame you. I think
It's a great
thing about, dude, it's great dialogue. It's great dialogue.
It's the script.
That I was about to say that, Shawn. That's a script. That's a script, right? And when 99.9% of your script is people talking, I can see it. I can see it happening, guys. I can see it happening. I love Pig. Can I just say I love that you put Pig? I'm so happy. So the Academy tends to do this, especially with writing or director.
Yes.
They add that one weird one that nobody knew it was gonna. Remember last year with White Tiger? Who would have thought that was even gonna be a thing?
I loved that little sneaky addition because I really liked the White Tiger.
And because of that, I wouldn't put it past it, Dan, of Pig being nominated. I wouldn't, and I couldn't.
I would literally eat my left toe if Pig got nominated for Best Original Screenplay and Best Actor for Nicolas Cage. I would be over the moon.
Well, cut off your toe and give it to Nicolas Cage's character. He can cook it up for you because he's a pretty good chef in that. Don't Look Up. I'd like to know why you have that right in the middle.
So because I'm new to this, some of this is not in the exact order maybe that I would put it. I probably Belfast and Licorice Pizza probably would be my number 1 and 2 though. But Don't Look Up just because of Adam McKay, and I just kind of put it there.
One thing that I'm interested in about Don't Look Up is how much of the film is improvised and how much of it is the screenplay itself. So I'm also curious about that.
Well, Shawn, what's up with Borat 2?
That's a really great point. Touche.
Borat 2 was killing the awards season last year. That whole movie's improvised. With that being said, guys, we're going to move on to the second category in the screenplays, but this time for Best Adapted Screenplay. Because I started first, I'd like to go back around. Let's start with Dan this time. Dan, what's your 5 for Best Adapted Screenplay?
Okay, this was one of the topics where I just basically, I mean, some thought went into it, but yeah. So 5, The Lost Daughter, just because I like know little to nothing about it, but I think that one of our YouTuber friends had it in his video recently, and I looked interesting. It sounds like it's gonna be good. Nightmare Alley, The Tragedy of Macbeth, West Side Story, and The Power of the Dog for number 1.
Ooh.
These are good choices.
Okay. Dan, I think your number 1 is one that many people share. I think everybody is going for Power of the Dog when it comes to these really, really big creative awards. So I think that's not a surprise there. I think that is the best bet to even be nominated, let alone win. The Lost Daughter is one that many people have just started talking about. Yeah. Well, not really started talking about, but it's been getting a lot of hype now. The Lost Daughter, isn't that Maggie Gyllenhaal's first film?
Yeah, first film, first screenplay. She just swept. I don't think it was the Indie Spirits. I don't think that's happened yet. But recently, an independent film awards sector.
Gotham?
Yeah, Gotham? I think it was Gotham. It might have been Gotham. I'm not sure. It's one of those independent awards. She swept everything. People are loving this film. It stars Olivia Colman, and she is, the Academy's favorite. I've heard great things about this. I think The Lost Daughter, I would say it's almost it's a lock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I can appreciate that. I can respect that. In the
Haven't seen it yet, though.
same here. In the same vein that Dan put Pig, and I see Pig as that one that the Oscars love to put, that weird one. Not that The Lost Daughter is that weird, but I think within the adapted screenplay category, The Lost Daughter is the weirdest one.
Fair
the
enough.
one that no one thinks would get nominated and gets nominated. I think that's The Lost Daughter. So that's a good choice. Good choice nonetheless. Other than that, Dan, the other ones, I can't argue. They all seem to be the way to go. I do want to talk about Macbeth. You have that at your number 3, Dan.
3.
Macbeth. Everybody says, "Oh, it's William Shakespeare. Of course, it's going to be nominated for best screenplay. Look at the dialogue alone." But do you think the Academy is going to be like, "Yeah, but this is kind of like a straight ripoff, so it's not going to be nominated"? What do you think, Shawn?
I think that's 100% going to happen. I think it's literally William Shakespeare. There's not a lot of adapting that's going on with this screenplay, and also when it came out in the film festivals, it was talked about a little bit because it's Joel Cohen directing, but it's kind of died off, and not a lot of people are talking about this one as much as some of these other films. So I think out of all of these choices, that might be the one that will not get in.
But Mr. Shawn Jackson, I'd like to know your 5.
I would love to give you my 5.
Ooh.
My number 5 is Tick, Tick, Boom. My number 4 is West Side Story. My number 3 is an Apple film, but not the tragedy of Macbeth. It's Coda. My number 2 is The Lost Daughter. And my number 1 is The Power of the Dog.
Nice. Shawn, can I just say here, Tick Tick Boom is not going in there.
Why?
I don't see it. I don't see it happening.
Oh.
I don't see it happening. Do you think they would nominate 2 Netflix films for anything?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I think
Explain.
I think that whole idea of the Academy, like, oh, it's streaming, Netflix, we're not going to give a bunch of awards to an Apple, too many streaming properties. I don't see that anymore. I don't think that's a narrative anymore. But that might just be me. With Tick Tick Boom, I think it's on the rise. I think people loved it, and people are talking about Andrew Garfield's performance. I see it getting in, but if they don't want to give it to 2 musicals, I do see West Side Story getting in over Tick Tick Boom, and that's why West Side Story is my 4th.
Coda. I want to talk
Yes,
about Coda.
let's talk about Coda.
I don't love Coda as much as everybody else. I thought it was a very cute film. I thought it was cute. It was a cute film, Shawn. It's memorable, right? It's memorable, but I don't. I hate to say this. My God, I hate to say this. I wouldn't nominate it for a thing.
I mean, maybe
I'm
that's
sorry.
just your opinion, but when it comes to us predicting what's actually going to happen, I think there's a lot of love for this movie, and I don't know. I think it hit a pinnacle, but it came out kind of earlier in the year, dropped off, and now it's gaining a lot of momentum again. So I definitely see it getting in here. I personally really like the film. Watching it a second time, I found a better admiration for it. I think it gets in. Dan, what do you think?
Oh, I haven't watched it yet.
Dan, you would like this one.
Danny boy.
Dan would like this one, don't you think, John?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I had to think about it for a second, but yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I do want to see it. I just haven't yet.
And I don't really want to touch on it as we talked about it, but I just want to point out, Shawn, I guess you really do like The Lost Daughter. That's number 2 for you. So
Yeah, definitely see it getting in there. And then once again, Power of the Dog at number 1. I think.
Number 1.
I mean, we'll talk about your predictions, but I'm interested to see what you have to say about that.
Yeah, and we'll get into them right now. At my number 5, guys, I got The Lost Daughter. I believe it. I believe in it. Just like
Okay.
Dan, just like you, I believe in The Lost Daughter. I think that's what's gonna happen. The Lost Daughter is my number 5. My number 4 is West Side Story, like you, Shawn. I think it
Okay.
gets in. My number 3 is Nightmare Alley, a film that I was surprised wasn't even on Shawn's. Nightmare Alley.
I have some things to say about that.
Remember it because I want to know. But my number 3, Nightmare Alley. Number 2, one that none of you have on here, and I'm surprised because you guys like this movie a lot more than I did, is Dune. I think Dune not only is number 2, but has a good chance of even beating my number 1, which is Power of the Dog. Power of the Dog, guys. Power of the Dog. Shawn, it is my number 1, so I agree. Power of the Dog has it. I wouldn't be surprised if Dune gets it. I am surprised it's not even in talks with you two.
I have a reason why it's not.
Yep.
Right.
And maybe this means nothing, but just because it's a part 1 of 2, so technically it's not the whole adapted thing. But I guess I don't know if that even matters. But that's why I did put it in there.
Okay, Shawn.
I completely agree with Dan, and we're going to talk about this a little later. For a lot of Dune's awards, prospects, is a lot of people might see this kind of as where the Lord of the Rings had part 1, 2, and 3. It didn't really win a lot of the main awards until the Return of the King. I think this might be the same case with Dune. I think part 2 is, if it's just as good as part 1, it's going to see a lot of awards love. With this, I don't think anyone's talking about Dune and how great the screenplay is. I think they're talking about Dune and how incredible it is to look at in the world building. So I don't see Dune getting in here, but it has a chance, definitely. But I don't know. With Nightmare Alley, why it's not on my list, it definitely was. I changed it at the last minute here. People are talking about Crimson Peak and comparing this to Crimson Peak. That completely turns me off. I'm worried about Nightmare Alley. People are liking it. They're not loving it. So, I'm going to have to see it for myself. But I kind of took it away from some of my predictions because of the early word of mouth I've heard.
Yeah, so...
Can't argue it.
Yeah, I put it on my list because of Guillermo del Toro, that his name attached to it. That's pretty much why, but I've been hearing the same things, and like the middle act is kind of slow, and a lot of people didn't really like the middle act, but they like the ending, and they like different things about it, but they're not loving it. So that's
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to be moving on to our next category, guys. It is Best Supporting Actor, and we are going to start with Mr. Shawn Jackson.
Woo!
Best Supporting Actor. What's your list?
Okay. I think a lot of ours are going to be similar here. Except for my number 5, which is Troy Kotsur for Coda.
Jesus
And
Christ.
my number 4 is Jason Isaacs for Mass. My number 3 is Jamie Dornan for Belfast. My number 2 is Kiernan Hines for Belfast. And my number 1 is Cody Smith-McPhee for The Power of the Dog.
A good list. Shawn, can we agree that I think the supporting actor category is a little weak this year?
Completely agree. Yeah.
I-
It was difficult to put together. I'm like, okay, like that was good. There was no like, handouts.
I have a hard time, like, what scenes are they going to put when they are nominating them that's going to make me go, wow, like, this person did so well in this movie. And not against their acting ability, they're good actors. I'm just saying Academy Award-worthy performances? I don't know. That being said, I haven't seen Cody Smith-McPhee in Power of the Dog. I can't say much about him, but can we talk about number 5? Because I really don't think Coda's going to be nominated for much.
Okay, well, you're saying that. I'm sticking to my Coda right now. Once again, these are all subjective. They're going to change later on down the road. I'm seeing Coda rise. I'm seeing a lot of love for Troy Kotsur. I actually didn't love him as much as some of the other people in the film, but he's getting there's a lot of talk around him getting into this. So I'm going to stick with that. And to me, if I think of it, all 5 of these performances, like you were saying, John, what clip they're going to pick, are there going to be any good ones? The only person I can see on this list that would have great clips is Jason Isaacs in Mass. He is
yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. Even though I haven't seen Mass, I was gonna say Jason Isaacs in Mass.
And that's why more people need to see this movie. I think Jason Isaacs is incredible in the film. And then with the two Belfast boys, there's more talk about Kieran Hines getting in. I thought Jamie Dornan was the more memorable performer in the film, but he's not getting as much talk. And then Cody Smith-McPhee, very understated performance. He's perfect for the role. I would rather see Jason Isaacs win, though.
I like Jason Isaacs in Mass. I think that's a good choice. Kieran Hines has... I could see him have kind of a clip, but it's not anything explosive. It's a bit more down to earth, and I think people will really enjoy that with Kieran Hines. I want to tell you guys what my 5 are for Best Supporting Actor. At number 5, we got Jason Isaacs for Mass. Phenomenal performance. I mean, phenomenal performances throughout the entire film, I'd say.
From everybody.
Number 4 is Jamie Dornan for Belfast. Number 3, I want to see your faces. And number 3 is Jared Leto in House of Gucci.
Okay.
Dan dead. He deaded me. Dan just deaded me right now. Number 2, I got Cody Schmidt-McPhee, and number 1, I got Kieran Hines. So Shawn, our 2 are kind of flip-floppy there. I want to talk about Jared Leto. I just feel in a year where the supporting actor race is not as memorable, we got a memorable performance from Jared Leto in House of Gucci.
It's true. I mean, you remember that performance for sure, even if you're like Dan and you hated it.
Dan, I just want to hear it. What's up, man? What do you think?
This was gonna go too far. I'd rather give it to Jeremy Irons in House of Gucci, but
Absolutely not.
But
Jeremy
he was
Irons
not good, and he
deserves a
looked
Razzie for that performance. Oh my god.
No, there's so many other that he was not good, and he was not good in Little Things either. He shouldn't have got nominated for that.
Fine in the Little Things, and I think he's quite good in House of Gucci. He's just ridiculous.
He's just over the top.
Yeah.
There we go.
I don't know if Italians talk like that.
Memorable, yes.
I'm sorry, Dan. Not to spoil anything for the other awards that we're going to be talking about, but don't you think that Chastain and Tammy Faye was a little too over the top?
No, I thought she was exactly...
Okay.
So that's what I say about Jared Leto. I don't know the guy, so maybe the guy did talk like that.
Probably.
And look like that, but
yeah. Well, my number 1 being Kieran Hines. I just think it's because of the Belfast. It's because everybody's loving Belfast. Everybody's loving the little lovable, huggable grandpa that is Kieran Hines in that film. I'm not hearing much, Shawn, about Cody Smith-McPhee. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me.
Once you see the movie, you'll know why people are there. The talk, I don't know. I mean, he's number 1 right now, I think, on Gold Derby. I mean, it's a very, I don't want to, it's hard to not give anything away. It's a very layered performance, and I think people really like it. But like I said, I personally would not choose him, but I think he'll definitely get in.
I want to see what Dan has for his 5.
Me too.
All right. So number 5, Jason Isaacs for Mass.
Woo!
We all got Jason Isaacs. I like that.
Yes. 4, I just kind of put this one in here. Bradley Cooper for Licorice Pizza.
Okay.
3, Jamie Dornan for Belfast. 2, Cody Smith-McPhee for Power of the Dog. And 1, Kieran Hines for Belfast.
Oh, I love you, Dan.
You guys both have Kieran Hines at number 1.
I think it's happening. Shawn.
There's just not enough meat to that performance.
None of the performances.
So
Jason Isaacs, there's meat to that performance, and we haven't seen Bradley Cooper yet.
I think so too. What's up, Dan?
So after I saw this, don't get me wrong, I love him. I thought Jamie Dornan was getting way too much talked up for what I saw as his performance. I didn't think his performance was all that godly or whatever.
Neither of them are, yeah.
Until until I love Everlasting Love.
Mhm.
I love that scene. Like, that made the movie. I would have liked the movie a little bit less if that scene was not in there.
Yeah.
But no, I thought he did good though, especially for being known for the 50 Shades of Grey series.
Yeah, at least he's gonna be. I don't know. He might be nominated, and I hope he does. So he can get that out of his repertoire.
I feel bad for Jamie Dornan for having to, like, that's his, claim to fame. So I'm happy to see him taking roles like this and showing off his acting chops, because I think he's quite good.
Can I just say, Dan, I don't see Bradley Cooper being nominated for Licorice Pizza because of what I've been hearing. I've been hearing that Bradley Cooper has a glorified cameo in that movie.
Okay.
See, I didn't know either.
Okay.
Because Sean Penn's in Licorice Pizza as well, and
Yeah.
I've heard that that's a glorified cameo as well. So
We're gonna go to our next category, Best Supporting Actress. Now this one's a bit stronger. I'm enjoying this one.
yes,
We're gonna start with me. We're gonna go back around. We're gonna start with me. At number 5, I got, hopefully I pronounced this right, Ariana DeBose for West Side Story. That's my
Yep.
number 5. Number 4, I got Ann Dodd for Mass. I can't. Even if everyone says she's not gonna be nominated, she'd be on my list.
she has to.
Number 3, maybe you can help me here, Shawn. Katerina Balfe from Belfast.
Katerina.
I think it's just Katrina Balfa.
Katrina, I think.
Yeah, Katrina Balfa.
I just got a language speaking. Somebody commented on my Belfast review telling me how to pronounce these stuff, and
So
yeah, I think it's Katrina.
how do you say the last name? Belfi?
Balfa.
Belfi. She just went over the first name. She just
So
said Katrina.
Katrina.
Katrina, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Number 2 is Anjanou Ellis for King Richard, with my number 1 going to Kristen Dunst in The Power of the Dog. I haven't seen The Power of the Dog, but I keep hearing that Kirsten Dunst does have a memorable performance in there. I have been hearing it's not necessarily out there in the sense of, we mentioned it a little earlier, Tammy Faye. It's a lot more grounded, but people say that it is still one of the best of the year. I want to talk about Anjanou Ellis. She's my number 2. But on my personal list, you wouldn't even be number 2. We talk about Bradley Cooper being a glorified cameo. She's a little bit more than that, but still a glorified cameo. I don't even know why there's so much talk about her even being a number 2. I don't get it. She has a nice scene in the kitchen that should have gone on for longer. It was cut short.
She plays Will Smith's wife, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Yeah. John, I was just going to bring up the kitchen scene. I think that's such a good scene. It shows that she's an incredible actress. That's probably my favorite scene in the entire film, so that's maybe why people are talking about her. But she is not in the movie very much, and that is Will Smith's movie. I'm also a little confused as to why people are talking about her winning this award, because there are much better performances, people who have much longer screen time.
Yeah, I agree. In my personal opinion, I would flip my 2 and 3. For my personal opinion, I thought Katrina Balfe, if that's how you pronounce it, bro. In a way, she stole my heart in Belfast.
Yeah.
The way that some scenes were structured, literally, she stole my heart in that film. I'd love for her to win. That being said, I haven't seen Power of the Dog yet, so I don't know about Dunst, but I'd love for her to win. And I guess Mass is picking up those acting awards, huh?
Dan, what are your thoughts on Katrina?
I would love for her to win. And I've started Power of the Dog. But after I left Belfast, I was like, oh wow, she's to me the best performance in this movie. Great performances all around, but I really liked her.
I completely agree with you, John. I think the Best Supporting Actress race is much more exciting than Best Supporting Actor. My number 5 is Marlee Matlin for Coda, who is already an Oscar winner. My number 4 is for Kirsten Dunst for The Power of the Dog. My number 3 is Anjanou Ellis for King Richard. My number 2 is Katrina Balfe for Belfast. And my number 1 is Ann Dowd for Mass. And I'm sorry, Ann Dowd, that performance is so good. This actress has shown up in so many things and given incredible performances. She's just one of the best performers working today, and I want to see her get her dues.
I love you so much, Shawn, and I agree that she deserves to get her dues, but I don't think she's that high. I think she's gonna get a nod, but I don't think she's getting a win. We talked about it a little earlier, John, there's no campaigning for MISC, and it doesn't look like it's gonna get any better. I think it's just gonna get worse. The fact that there's even gonna be a nod, I'm surprised. For campaigning purposes alone, because the performance is there, Shawn. The performance is definitely there.
Well, the campaigning starts right here, right now.
Yes. Yes, let's get Ann Dowd.
I am starting it. I am doing the push. I'm doing the work for Bleecker Street. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. I want to, I don't know. I think she deserves it. So I'm putting it at number 1. Probably in the long run, things will change. She might not be there, but I want to put that out there as number 1. And I agree with you guys on Katrina Balfe. She was my favorite part of Belfast. I think she is the crux of the film. She's what keeps it together. I would love to see her win as well. And then, Marlee Matlin. She's an Oscar winner already, like I said. I think she's wonderful in Coda. And then Kirsten Dunst, I don't personally like her very much. I think she's great in the movie, though. And it's probably one of her best performances in over a decade.
To be the bad guy again, amazing. Matlin is a former Oscar winner. Isn't that amazing? It's not happening again. It's not happening again.
We're just going to keep the Coda hate train running, aren't we, John?
Hashtag Coda hate train. Come on, guys. Let's get that viral.
No. That movie is a good movie.
It's a cute movie. Let's not start this again.
So mine is very almost identical to John's, but just 2 off. But so I have Ariana DeBose for number 5. Is it DeBose? DeBose?
I think it's DeBose.
DeBose? Okay.
Yeah.
Ariana DeBose for number 5. Ann Dowd for MISC. Anjanou Ellis for King Richard.
Okay.
Katrina Balfe for Belfast, and number 1, Kirsten Dunst as with The Power of the Dog.
Okay.
So I would have had your list if you switched it, because you said you were switching it for the personal. If your personal one, you would switch your 2 and 3. So I basically have that.
Yeah, so you have like a personal / kind of what you think the Oscars could do type. Dan, I love your list only because you got Balfe higher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just I haven't seen King Richard, so maybe if I saw it, I know it's not about our personal opinions, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It helps us, guide us in these predictions, though, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Dan, I don't got much to say other than I hope Balfe gets some sort of like snowball effect, and she becomes the new number 1. I think she deserves it so heavily.
I'm sorry, if you look at Balfe versus Ellis, let's just say it's those two fighting head to head with each other. Balfe has so much more screen time. There's so much more you could show clip wise, like big moments, smaller, more intimate moments. Ellis just has that one kitchen scene. So yeah. I just feel like Balfe, I really hope, like you said, there's a snowball effect and people start, putting her on their list.
Guys, we're going to get into our next category. It is the Best Actor category. These next 2 are pretty, I'm excited for.
I'm so excited.
We're going to start with Mr. The Upside Dan. Dan, what's your 5 for Best Actor at the 2022 Academy Awards?
So number 5 is Denzel Washington for Tragedy of Macbeth. 4, Joaquin Phoenix for Come On, Come On.
Ooh.
Yes.
3, Andrew Garfield, Tick Tick Boom.
Ooh.
2, Benedict Cumberbatch for The Power of the Dog. And 1, Will Smith for King Richard.
That's it, baby. It's Will Smith's year, baby. That's all I got to say. Will Smith is getting that Oscar. It's almost as sure as Daniel Kaluuya and Judas and the Black Messiah. It's Will Smith's year, baby. He's number 1. I'm probably spoiling my list, but he's number 1. I don't care what anyone says, Shawn. Why are you giving me that face?
I don't know. Oh no.
That being said, as somebody that has seen Come On, Come On, I think the performances there are good enough.
Oh, that is just, I don't know. From everybody but you, John, and I'm gonna see Come On, Come On tomorrow. From everybody else I've heard, this is their favorite film of the year. They love Joaquin Phoenix. They think this film is incredible. So I'm excited to see it still. I know you weren't too keen on it. I love Mike Mills. 21st Century Women is one of my, and Beginners, two of my favorite films. So I don't know. I think I'm going to like it a lot better than you and Joaquin Phoenix's performance.
Can we agree on something, though? At least
Yeah.
one thing? Garfield's getting in.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Yeah. He
And
needs
he was not, like, he was on the peripherals. I think maybe even like 2 weeks ago, he was like number 9 or number 10. And he has just skyrocketed. I think once people saw his performance and his singing ability,
Yeah.
he has to be in there.
Yeah. I'm so excited to see this continue to grow for Garfield because I think he definitely deserves it, and I did not want him to be overlooked here just because it's a Netflix film by a first-time director. I'm so excited, so excited. What about Mr. Shawn? What's your list?
What's my list? Okay, I'll
Yeah,
give you
man.
my list. Number 5, Denzel Washington, The Tragedy of Macbeth. Number 4, Joaquin Phoenix, Come On, Come On. Number 3, Andrew Garfield, Tick, Tick, Boom, sounding a lot like dance. Number 2, Will Smith, King Richard.
Oh my God.
And number 1, Benedict Cumberbatch, The
Oh.
Power of the Dog.
Why? Why is Smith number 2?
Multiple reasons. Do I love Will Smith in this film? Yes. I think he's very good. I think it is one of his best performances in quite some time after a slew of box office and critical bombs. I think he's quite good in the film. And it is his film, like we've been talking about. I'm basing this 100% on how good Benedict Cumberbatch is in The Power of the Dog.
Okay,
It is his
I
best
get it.
performance of all time. His best performance. He is so slimy. It's like such a good villain role, but he's also able to capture like heart and humanity. It's such a complicated, conflicting performance. I just think it's so good. So I think he deserves it. I think he definitely has a chance. But John, you are right that Will Smith, I mean, it's hand in hand right now.
And to make a little bit of an argument here, Shawn, the Academy adores when actors play real people.
Yeah, I know.
Adores. And they usually win. The awards that have already happened, I think the Gotham, as we mentioned a little earlier, Will Smith won. And everyone's talking about Will Smith.
Yeah.
Now, here's my question for Dan. Dan, is this going to be another 2020 situation in that everyone thought Chadwick was going to win the Oscar and last minute Anthony Hopkins wins for The Father? Is it going to be everyone and their moms say Will Smith and then no, it's Benedict Cumberbatch last minute? So much hype and yet no return in the end.
I don't know if it's gonna be like that again.
Okay.
I feel like Will Smith might win. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. And I know they don't take this into consideration. Plus, everyone was mad about that. And not mad that Anthony Hopkins won, but mad that Chadwick Boseman didn't
Right.
win.
I don't even know how many people have seen King Richard. It bombed at the box office. They
3
haven't
people.
really released HBO Max stats. So this movie isn't being as celebrated as we think it is, or as it seems to be in the media. But I do see what you're saying. Will Smith is the front runner right now. So if they give it to Benedict, but I think people would be just as happy to see Benedict win.
You guys ready? You guys ready
I'm
for
ready.
this? So I think this is one we all share. Number 5 is Denzel Washington in The Tragedy of Macbeth. Number 4, Peter Dinklage in Cyrano, right? That's how you pronounce
Yeah.
the film?
Yeah.
Number 4. Number 3 is Andrew Garfield for Tick, Tick, Boom. Number 2, Benedict Cumberbatch for The Power of the Dog. And number 1 being Will Smith. Not going to talk much about Will Smith. We talked enough about it already. And Benedict Cumberbatch and Andrew Garfield. I guess the one I want to talk about here are my last two that we haven't really talked about. First one being Denzel Washington. If Denzel Washington could be nominated for Best Actor for, what was that film, Jay, the Israel Esquire film from a couple years back?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I didn't watch it, but yeah, I know what
That
you're
must have
talking
been a bad year for Best Actor.
And one, it's Denzel, and 2, the film that he is in is a sort of play on screen of William Shakespeare, where you literally have to transform into a thespian, right? Plus Denzel Washington. I think it's a guaranteed nod.
I don't think it's guaranteed. I think The Tragedy of Macbeth, if it's going to get any nominations for anything, it is going to be for Denzel Washington's performance. I think, oh my gosh, why? Frances McDormand. I think she's kind of out of talks right now. It's kind of just Denzel Washington in talks here. And I think there's definitely a definite possibility he gets in, but someone else can sneak in there and snatch that away from him really quickly.
Most years, we always get that outlier. And I call Willem Dafoe that. It's like every time Willem Dafoe is in a movie, he always gets nominated, even though people know he's not going to win. He always gets nominated.
He's so good, though.
Good.
Darn it, he deserves to win something.
so freaking good. I think Peter Dinklage went to Dafoe and he's like, I got you this year, man. I got you. I think that's the type of nomination that Dinklage is going to get. I've been hearing some good things about his performance in Cyrano, and I've seen the trailer, and I think it's a pretty gripping performance from the trailer alone. I could see it happen, guys. I wouldn't argue it. Can I say if I didn't want to put Dinklage in, who I would put in there?
Who?
Nicolas Cage for Pig.
Yes, please. Let's put that out into the universe too.
Let's put it out.
Yeah.
On my personal list, Dan, I would put Nicolas Cage for Pig in there. But when it comes to the Oscars, I just think Dinklage is getting campaigned more.
It is.
Yeah.
Even though people don't love Cyrano, and critics and audiences loved Pig. So I am curious as to why it's not getting as much Oscar talk as I think it should be. But people love Peter Dinklage. I think that's why he gets in. There's so much goodwill towards him. He's a fantastic actor. But like I said, people aren't loving the movie. So if Cyrano gets any nominations, it's going to be for Peter Dinklage.
We're moving on to Best Actress. Like I said, these the 2 lead actor awards, I think I'm very excited for. We're going to start with Mr. Jackson himself. Shawn, what's your 5 for Best Actress?
Number 5, Olivia Colman for The Lost Daughter. Number 4, Rachel Ziegler for West Side Story. Number 3, Nicole Kidman for Being the Ricardos. Number 2, Jessica Chastain for The Eyes of Tammy Faye. And number 1, Kristen Stewart for Spencer.
I'm so happy you have her at number 1, man. We were talking about Dornan and 50 Shades. Stewart in Twilight. No one takes her serious because she was in Twilight. People are going to take her serious this year. They're going to take her serious this year. And I agree with you there, Shawn. Can you explain to me Rachel Ziegler in West Side Story?
Yeah, so she actually just won Best Actress, I think, at the Gothams. It might have been the Gothams, one of the awards that just happened this last week. She's a newcomer. I don't know. I feel like this is the Oscars. The Oscar voters, they like to do this. They like to find, it's like a find, like this special person that's come out of nowhere and is just this big star. I see that being Rachel Ziegler. Once again, I haven't seen the film. I've heard from Sarah, who has, that she's great in it. So I don't know. I feel like there's a chance this could be a curveball for her to get in there. What are your guys' thoughts on Rachel Ziegler?
I agree. I've heard she's really good. She looks really good, and I put in like the newcomer kind of thing. The Oscars might be looking for a newcomer. So yeah.
I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening.
You have Ariana DeBose in your Best Supporting Actress.
Yeah, Best Supporting Actress. We were talking about lead actress here, and I hate to like even give like, oh, this one's better than supporting. I hate to even say that, but it seems that when it comes to the Oscars, the newcomer is a thing. But here's a formula that I've been seeing. If you're a newcomer and you're young, you don't usually get a nod at the Oscars. But if you're a newcomer and you're a bit older, you usually do get that nod. We see that with Shawn, help me out here. YJ from Minari.
Yu Young Jun.
Yes, sir.
I tried.
Nani?
The grandmother?
I love her
Yes.
so much. She's so good.
Newcomer to Hollywood, but she has been working her ass off in movies in general, and she finally got that payoff in Hollywood from Minari. Then we got Zegler in West Side Story. Shawn,
No.
Jojo Rabbit, Belfast, like these newcomers, those young guys, they're not getting. They didn't get it for Jojo Rabbit.
Jude Hill was fantastic in Belfast.
Why is he not going to get Best Actor? Why didn't we talk about him?
There's something about a young woman coming into her own that the Oscars
Also-
really love, and I see this with Rachel Zegler. Is it a for sure thing? Absolutely not. But right now, I feel pretty confident in her in kind of the outlier positions of 5 and 4. In the past, we've seen young unknown actresses kind of sneak into these spots here, and I see this happening.
But Shawn, I mean, I said it and you just said it. Yes, but in supporting, we're talking about lead, and I don't see the
Vincent
Academy.
Wallace, I'm just saying, no one thought that she'd get in, and that was Best Actress. So it could happen.
I just like to preface all this. Any of this could happen,
Exactly.
and crazier, and even crazier than this could happen. But I don't see it because of the category it is in. You mentioned how I picked The Boys for supporting. Again, it's because it's supporting. And I do see the lead actor, actress position a bit more important because they're the ones leading the film. And does she do a great job in West Side Story? I can see it. I can see it that she does an amazing job. She might be my favorite performance of the entire year, but I don't see the Academy doing it because of the category that she's going to be campaigning for.
And these actresses that she's campaigning against, these are heavy hitters.
Let's go to my number 5 because we may have some repeating. Okay. My number 5 for Best Actress. I guess this is my Zegler of my list. It's Lady Gaga and House of Gucci.
John, you're the only one that hasn't seen House of Gucci, right?
No, I haven't, and I'm like nominating everyone.
So me and John me and Dan have seen House of Gucci, and you don't see House of Gucci anywhere near our predictions.
Tis true. Number 4, I got Nicole Kidman in Being the Ricardos. Number 3, Jessica Chastain for The Eyes of Tammy Faye. Number 2, Olivia Colman in The Lost Daughter. And number 1, with the win, just as sure as Will Smith, is Kristen Stewart in Spencer. What do you think?
I'm thinking that now that I'm mulling over your predictions, I do think I would put Rachel Zegler at 5 and bump up Olivia Colman to that 4th spot. Because I do think your top 4, Nicole Kidman, Jessica Chastain, Coleman, and Stewart, I think they're locks.
I agree. And that's why I put him there.
So
There's a lot of
5 is really all we're kind of searching for right now.
There's a lot of love with Olivia Colman in The Lost Daughter, and the Academy love Olivia Colman just as much as they love McDormand and Meryl Streep. So I don't have Chastain as my number 2. I feel like maybe this is where I'll be different than you two. I just think that talks for Chastain is just slowly dying down.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I still think that her love, Chastain's love for this person, and once again, John, like you said, this is her playing, a real person. And yes, it's a little over the top, but that is who Tammy Faye was. I think she got Tammy Faye down really well. So I think it's a fantastic performance in a movie that's okay.
So my number 5 is Rachel Zegler for West Side Story.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
Number 4, Nicole Kidman for Being the Ricardos. Olivia Colman for The Lost Daughter. Jessica Chastain for The Eyes of Tammy Faye. And Kristen Stewart for Spencer.
Okay. So those 4, once again, the locks, man.
We all have Coleman in different spots. That's funny.
Yeah.
I have her at 2, Dan at 3, Shawn at 5, but you would probably change it to 4, you said?
Yeah, I would.
Okay, so I agree that those 4 are locks, and I have to disagree again. I don't see Ziegler anywhere near that. I don't
see Lady Gaga in there either, even though I love Lady Gaga, but I just don't see House of Gucci getting any love from the Academy.
I feel you, man, and honestly, I couldn't argue back my choice for Lady Gaga other than I don't see Ziegler there, and that's why I put Gaga in there instead, because she's a bit more established as a front-runner type of actress. Dan, talk to me a little bit about what you love so much about Kristen Stewart in Spencer.
Just that she just portrayed, because I saw clips, and I barely know anything about Princess Diana, but what I researched kind of a little before and after, she just really embodied the character. And actually, when I was looking up pictures for my review, I had to carefully pick through the pictures because I was like, is this actually Princess Diana? Is this Kristen Stewart? So I thought she did just a really good job and a really good job portraying the anxiety.
Right. I really quickly, before we move on, I would like to talk about Nicole Kidman in Being the Ricardos. Because there was a lot of backlash about her.
Explain.
So she does not look like Lucy whatsoever.
No.
So a lot of people were, giving her a hard time. Then they saw the trailer and they're like, she doesn't really sound like Lucy. Like, she's not even trying. But what people are saying is that Nicole Kidman is really, and what Aaron Sorkin had her do was he was like, don't try to be the person, just try to find her, like, Lucy's inner embodiment, kind of. And people are saying that Kidman really captured that. So that is kind of a narrative that could boost her in this race, that people were kind of against her playing this part, and then she ended up being really good.
Well, I think what hurts her more there is winning, but I don't think nominating. Moving up to the penultimate category, we will be talking about, guys, Best Director. Best Director. And we're going to start with me. Coming in at number 5, we got the legend himself, Steven Spielberg, for West Side Story. Number 4, we got Kenneth Branagh for Belfast. A bit low there, maybe. Jane Campion in The Power of the Dog at number 3. Number 2, I got Paul Thomas Anderson in Licorice Pizza. And I know you guys are going to want to talk to me about this because my number 1 is Denis Villeneuve for Dune. I like your expressions, Shawn. Why? Why did you make that expression?
I think it's a well-deserved nomination for Denis. I think everyone can agree Denis has a filmography that any director would, pine over. It's fantastic. And I think personally, if you think of all these movies, you're going to remember out of the direction from Dune the most. So I don't know. I think he definitely deserves a nomination here.
Okay, I'll tell you why I nominated Denis Villeneuve, though. I think, can we all agree here, Dune is sweeping the technical categories. I think Dune is sweeping editing, Dune is sweeping cinematography, Dune is sweeping the technical categories. And while many people may see that as, oh, well, that's not really Denis Villeneuve, that's the editor for editing, that's the director of photography for cinematography. That's right. It's the sound mixer and editor for sound design. I understand that. But they're all under one umbrella called Denis Villeneuve. I understand. Like, I'm not saying that those guys did nothing. It's like those guys couldn't even make a good sound design or edit the film as well if it was. No, like they're good in their own categories, but they were all answering to Denis Villeneuve, and that's why I have him at number 1.
They're working under the same, they're all working under one vision, and that vision comes from the director.
And that's why I see it happening. And again, I want to reiterate, I did not like Dune as much as everybody else, and I think he has a really good chance of him being number 1.
My number 5 is Paul Thomas Anderson for Licorice Pizza.
Whoa.
My number 4 is Steven Spielberg for West Side Story. My number 3 is Kenneth Branagh for Belfast. My number 2 is Jane Campion for The Power of the Dog. And my number 1 is Denis Villeneuve.
Yes! Oh my god, Shawn. I thought I was gonna be the only one.
I'm gonna say this right now. I think he deserves to win. I do. I think he's deserved to win many times before, for Prisoners, for Arrival, possibly. I don't know. Was he nominated for Blade Runner?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, he has so many good movies, and this is the culmination of, him building up his repertoire to be able to make this epic masterpiece. John, I'm also right there with you. I don't love Dune like everybody else. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. But I think just as a visionary piece, it's amazing. And the only thing keeping him from not winning this award is what Dan brought up earlier, that people are like, well, we'll give it to him for part 2.
Dan, you want to explain yourself there? Do you think that that's something that may hinder Denis Villeneuve, the fact that it's only part 1 of 2?
I don't know about for director. I don't know.
Okay.
But maybe what Shawn said, they're just like, oh, we're going to hold it off until number 2. But like, I don't know. I could still see him being nominated for this and possibly winning.
Okay, I like that. And concerning Denis Villeneuve, a lot of people used to say that the editing award is a good showing of who would win Best Director or maybe even Best Picture. The last couple of years, it hasn't really been that. I think this is a year where it will come back to that, because I feel Dune will be winning editing, and in turn, Denis Villeneuve winning director for that. I do want to talk a little bit about Paul Thomas Anderson being so low for you. I'm going to be honest, all the talk I'm hearing for Licorice Pizza and some people saying it's the best film of the year. If not Denis Villeneuve, not going to lie, I think PTA has it.
My reasoning for having PT so low is, number 1, I still haven't seen the movie, and I do have a hard time with putting him super high when I haven't seen it. And the only other reason is because I think he has a really good chance of winning Best Screenplay. I think it might be more of a screenplay movie than a directorial piece. And then when you think of Steven Spielberg with West Side Story, it's just this big, huge production. It's such a director's award. And then with Jane Campion, it's such a beautiful movie, directing wise as well as the screenplay. So I don't know, that's PT. I feel like it's more of a screenplay movie.
So after I get to my list, correct me on number 5. Maybe I think this person has more awards love than he actually does.
Okay.
All right, so I put Guillermo del Toro for number 5.
Okay.
For Nightmare Alley. Then I put Steven Spielberg for West Side Story. Kenneth Branagh for Belfast. Jane Campion for Power of the Dog. And Denis Villeneuve for Dune.
Yes, we all can agree. We can all agree.
That's shocking, honestly. I thought that was kind of a hot take.
I thought so as well. Dan, you didn't really say much because you didn't want to spoil yourself. Talk to me a little about Denis being your number 1.
I love Dune, and there has not been a picture that has almost gotten his visual effects this year. So I just was wowed by it. I do love Dune. Which is a surprise for me because you guys know long sci-fi epics are usually not my thing, but I loved it.
Now that Shawn was talking a little bit earlier about Nightmare Alley maybe being another Crimson Peak, I don't see Del Toro getting that recognition for Best Director again. And even aside from that, the fact that he just won for Shape of Water, I feel like the Academy may just want to hold him down for another film until maybe his next one.
That's why I wasn't sure if he gets love before this. I forgot about Shape of Water, but
he won it won Best Director and Best Picture. I think his problem, like you said, John, is that just Shape of Water just happened, and they're going to be looking at Nightmare Alley, and they're going to be like, was that as good or better than Shape of Water? The moment their mind says no, he doesn't make it in here.
Campion was getting some frontrunner love, and she would be the third female director to win Best Director if she does go ahead and win.
2 women in 2 years too. That'd be crazy and awesome.
And this is her first film in a very long time, right?
Over 10 years.
That's nuts. It could happen. It could
could.
happen.
And
It could.
it would be, and once you guys see it, it would be very well deserved. They're like Nomadland, just like the epic scope and the scenery and the way it's filmed and the way she draws out dread and tension throughout the film. It's a really wonderful piece of filmmaking.
We have finally gotten to the time. You guys have waited for this. This is our early predictions on what is going to win best, or be nominated, I should say, Best Picture at the 2022 Academy Awards. And we're going to start it off with Mr. Dan. Dan.
All right.
Come on, man.
I'm so excited. Okay. So number 10, I have Spencer. 9 being the Ricardos. The Tragedy of Macbeth. West Side Story. King Richard. Dune. I know that contradicts some stuff. Licorice Pizza. Belfast. The Power of the Dog. And probably an underdog, but I put Don't Look Up for my number 1.
Wow.
Whoa.
Wow, I want to talk about that, man. Why
That's a
is that
big
your
one.
number 1? Why is
I
that
know.
your number 1?
So I will say a lot of this list, I didn't have an exact order for some of these, but I don't know. I just wanted to put an underdog in there. To be honest, it wasn't really any research around it or personal feeling around it. I just thought Adam McKay, a good cast. Maybe it'll surprise us and it'll be number 1.
When The Big Short came out a couple of years ago, a lot of people were like saying that was going to win Best Picture. So I don't blame you for putting a McKay film as your number 1, especially because I think this one looks better than the Big Short. That'll be a surprise. And the movie hasn't come out yet, Dan. So when it does come out, you never know. It could have a snowball effect, and everyone loves it, even the critics, even the Academy, and it starts going up there. Who knows? We're only in the beginning of December. What do you think, Shawn?
I think that's a really ballsy pick. I love it though. I love that kind of just go for broke. But I wouldn't put it as number 1 only because out of all of these films, this is the only one that critics haven't really even seen yet, or at least shared their thoughts and reviews on yet. So I'm definitely waiting to hear what people actually think of the film. I think the mix of being more comedic than The Big Short or Vice could either help the film stand out in a really good way or not so good way. So I'm just waiting for the critics on this one.
Spencer, that's another one I want to talk to you about, Dan, because spoiler alert, it's not on mine. I think Spencer is a film that people are talking about for the performance of Kristen Stewart alone, and not necessarily the film. Yet you're not the only person that I've seen it on putting it on their list. Shawn, you don't have to spoil it, but what do you think about Spencer being a contender?
I think that it's kind of going to be the same situation as Pablo Larraín's other film, Jackie, with Natalie Portman. I think that movie was all about the performance. It's like a piece about this one person. I just don't think that the film has enough narrative strength to make it a Best Picture nominee. Though I do think it's a great movie, and we are talking about King Richard, and that's kind of the same thing for me. It's about the performance rather than the movie. But yeah, I don't see Spencer getting in here.
King Richard is a feel-good biopic, which is why I can see many people putting it in their top 10 for Best Picture. It's a feel-good biopic. Yeah, dude. I mean, Bohemian Rhapsody, that was Best Picture. People were like, "What the hell? How is Bohemian Rhapsody nominated?" I think this is gonna be another year where how the hell is King Richard nominated? You just gotta look at the evidence in the past. It happens. It happens. Shawn, I'm excited to see what you think the top 10 for Best Picture this year is gonna be.
Okay, let's do it. My number 10 is gonna contradict everything I've been saying, but I have Nightmare Alley at number 10, but it's on the outs. That's why it was a lot higher. I moved it down to 10, but I'll keep it there for now. Number 9, I have King Richard. Number 8, Tick Tick Boom. Number 7, Coda. Number 6 being The Ricardos. Number 5, West Side Story. Number 4, Dune. Number 3, Belfast. number 2, Licorice Pizza, and number 1, The Power of the Dog.
All right, Shawn, for you, this is the first year the Academy is gonna have a Netflix film win Best Picture.
Yes.
I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
That's
fine. That's fine.
I think that this was such a narrative a couple of years back when Roma was nominated, and everyone's like, we want to keep movie theaters alive. But now that Netflix is releasing a lot of these films a couple of weeks in advance in movie theaters, I think that's kind of helping their cause. And I think streaming, just because of COVID, streaming has become such a commonplace thing now that narrative's kind of dying.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But Shawn, man, I think the time and place to make that narrative a truth would have been the 2020-2021 season, and it still wasn't the truth. So 2021 being the year where things are slowly but surely getting back to normal, people are going back to the movie theaters, now the narrative is going to speak true? I don't see it, man. I don't know.
Fair enough. I mean, we'll definitely see how it all pans out. I just think the quality of The Power of the Dog, the fact that it's an old-time Western, it's based on a classic novel, it's dark, it's a different kind of genre mashed up that we haven't really seen before, and great performances. I don't know, I see it winning right now.
Dan, let's talk about this for a second concerning Shawn's list. He thinks 2 Netflix films are going to be in contention for Best Picture. The Oscars, I don't think the Oscars have ever done that. To go against what I just said, 2019, Irishman and Marriage Story, 2 Netflix films.
I don't know. I don't even think of them sometimes as Netflix films.
I don't know.
Because of what Shawn said, that they're also releasing them a couple weeks early. And was Power of the Dog released in theaters?
It was.
They have to be.
Yeah. Okay, they have to be. That's cool. I like that.
Tick Tick Boom was as well.
But like, what makes them worse because they're on Netflix? They're not. They shouldn't be lesser than because they're on Netflix.
Yeah.
I don't think. So I don't know. I like that idea. I don't know why I didn't put Tick Tick Boom on mine. I don't really know why.
You just totally forgot about Tick Tick Boom, Dan. Think about this list here. Number 9, King Richard. No, it wasn't on streaming, but it was on HBO Max this year because of everything. Mm-hmm. Tick Tick Boom, Netflix. Coda, Apple. Being the Ricardos, Prime. And then The Power of the Dog, Netflix. Dune was also on HBO Max streaming. So a lot of these movies came out on streaming too.
Dude,
different world we live in.
I'll give Coda a Screenplay award before I give it a Best Picture nomination.
John, I think there's a really good chance, especially since it has to be 10 nominees for Best Picture. I think there's a really good chance Coda gets it.
No, man. Yeah. I don't see it. It's true. There has to be a 10. But that's not 10. That's not my 10.
Okay, well, it's not your 10, it's my 10.
So, somehow, some way, Shawn, we got to find a way to make a bet here. I don't know when, maybe some other videos, but we got to find a way to make a bet about Coda and how I don't think it's going to be nominated for much.
We'll start that bet up in the next episode. We'll figure something out.
Let's end this now with the very last prediction coming from myself. My 10 for Best Picture. My number 10. Last Night in Soho.
You would.
That's my Coda, man. That's my Coda.
No, I didn't put. No. Coda's not my favorite of the year. If I picked, I should have put Mass in my number 10. But
I would have rather you. I'd rather you put Mass. Last Night in Soho, number 10. Number 9, Tick Tick Boom. Number 8, Being the Ricardos. Number 7, Nightmare Alley. Number 6, King Richard. Number 5, West Side Story. Number 4, Dune. Number 3, The Power of the Dog. Number 2, Belfast. And number 1, Licorice Pizza. That's my 10, guys. I added in Last Night in Soho before you guys say anything, solely because I love that the Hollywood Critics Association was giving it some love, and I'm hoping that it just starts to roll with the flow and people start picking it. West Side Story has backlash. I think worse backlash than In the Heights. Yet In the Heights, the backlash there was everybody talked about it. It was viral, the backlash for In the Heights. I will say though, it's because it's Spielberg.
That's what I was gonna say.
It's a good point.
It's because it's Spielberg, and that's why I think that it's going to be nominated. And I have it pretty high because it's Spielberg. It's a remake. Everybody's loving it so far. They're saying it's better than the original. I think that's going to beat out the backlash that it has. Dan, you didn't have it, but I feel like you would. Tick, Tick, Boom. I want it to be true, and I think it could be. I think there's a good chance.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
I'd be so happy for Lin-Manuel Miranda, his first ever directorial his debut, and his film is getting nominated for Best Picture. I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
And so the reason why I have Power of the Dog at number 3 is because it's a Netflix film, Shawn, and not to get into it again, I just don't see it happening this year. I see Belfast. It's a theatrical release, and it's that feel-good film that everybody is loving. It's that nice, cozy film that has a message and it's meaningful.
Yeah.
But no one, at least and that I've heard, has been saying that Belfast is the best film of the year.
Yeah,
I've been hearing so many people saying that about Licorice Pizza.
Yeah.
And that's why it's my number 1. Licorice Pizza is number 1 because a lot of people are raving and a lot of people are saying it's the best film of the year. I hope it is, but that's why I have it at number 1.
I mean, I have it at my number 2, so I'm right on the same wavelength with you there, John. I think Licorice Pizza could definitely, it's coming out right at the right time. You know, it's getting the buzz, and then it's coming out wide on Christmas. It's the perfect release schedule to keep that buzz rolling into March when the Oscar ceremony is going to be.
So guys, those were our predictions for some of the categories for the 2022 Oscar ceremony. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed our hot takes and our more predictable thoughts, but comment down below. I want to know, what do you think about certain categories? What's your number 1? What's your hot pick? That being said, these guys below me and to my left, you can find their channels down in the description below. Please make sure you subscribe to them, not only because their content is great, but because if you want to continue with Off to the Races, you're going to have to subscribe to them because it won't only be here, it will be shared among us 3. Guys, such a pleasure to talk awards and so happy that this is not the end.
Yes.
It's only just begun.
Yes.
Only just begun.
This is looking to be a tight one, folks.